Me? Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I won't be using a PowerPoint. I have most of my presentations on PowerPoint, but I would like to, with small groups, I like to go ahead and walk the aisles and actually get more engaged. Do it with the high school students, I'll do it with you guys as well. So does it sound like a good plan? Sure. Is that what you said? That's what I want. Awesome. Got everything? I'm good to go. Finally, right? Done. Yep, we are ready. Absolutely, I like it.
So, a couple announcements. Our next speaker is September 4th. That'll be Tanner O'Connor. He's the head rowing coach at Marietta High School. So he's going to be talking about the history of rowing.
Awesome.
Catch to finish the world of competitive rowing is his title of his presentation. So that could be really cool. And then Ohio Open Doors here will be happening on September 12th. So that's just a day where everyone who comes in will get free admission. Today's speaker, we have Ryan Holter with us. So his presentation today will be Frugal Frontier Living, Scarcity, Waste, and the First Recycling Revolution. This immersive museum program will use Marietta's 1788 frontier history to demonstrate how early settlers lived with minimal waste, contrasted with modern landfill systems and long-term material impact. Brian Holter is a Marietta resident, teacher, and volunteer presenting with a shared passion in local history and a lifelong devotion to environmental education.
Perfect. That's me. Awesome. Good job. So, quick question. Who remembers the book called The Pioneers? Anybody remember that? Have you all read it? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Did you guys see it when he came to visit? Did you see it? Awesome. I worked with Bill as a technical writer contract at the time. I was volunteering here at the museum at the time. So I loved my experience there. So I'm extremely happy to be back here. This presentation has kind of taken a weird twist and turn. My July was a very weird experience. My wife is an ultra marathon runner. She runs 50-mile races. She had a spinal fusion. She had a disc rupture in July. So that got me thinking in terms of scarcity on the frontier. We talk about material things, but access to healthcare especially, because you're thinking Hildreth, if you remember Hildreth from the book. Where did he live? Belpre. He lived in Belpre, okay? So we have, are you from Belpre? So we have Marietta Memorial Hospital here, right? Easy access to it, right? We can make a trip to Columbus. It would take Hildreth by horse about an hour and a half to 2 hours to ride from Belpre to an emergency situation here in Marietta at the time. So with my wife being injured and having surgery and me spending a lot of time in Marietta Memorial Hospital, it got me thinking. So if I talk about that, take a little deviation, a little twist and turn, just bear with me. I want to make sure we're in the right spot. Everybody here, we're going to go right here. I'm going to take my little number tag off. This is a brand new photo. I just took it Monday. You guys in the right spot? We're in the right spot? Aerial photography is a passion of mine. It has been my goal to map out the Muskingum River by powered paraglider. So I do a lot of flying. So want to make sure we're in the right spot. We're going to go back. Yep, you see the arrow? I'll make sure I make my rounds. I'll walk a little slow too because you guys saw it. Yep. And what's the new museum coming on board? Does you guys know the new museum under construction? What is it? Absolutely, yeah, the Ohio River Museum. We got pictures of that too because I've been snooping from about 500 feet, okay? I take a lot of pictures, So I've got some pictures of that, and it's actually going to contrast the way that the builders in the pioneer days did, because if you look at some construction techniques, it's not so more elaborate furnishings, okay? But if you're a small family coming on board, you've got to make use. You've got to repair. You've got to reuse. Question: do you think people in today's society, so modern people, make on average, I'll tell you, about 5 pounds of trash every day, right? So after about a year, what I get to do with my elementary school kids, I dress them up in a moose costume, because after a year, they're no longer a elementary student. They weigh as much as a moose, because they're doing about 5 pounds of trash every day. After about 2 weeks, they've done their own body weight. After a month, kids are bigger today. I know. But after about a month, it's about 30 times 5, about 150 pounds. And after about 12 months, it's about 1,800 pounds. So the quick question: did people in the pioneer days make more by volume or less trash? What do you think? Less. I thought so too. They do in almost all areas except for one. The one area that they make more trash in is their heating systems. What did they use to heat their house? Wood, coal, right? Well, their backyard became a disposal for that kind of material. So they did pretty good. I'm not saying they made more trash, but what they made in the ash, in the coal ash, and in the wood, it added up. So they didn't make a lot of trash. So I'm not, what is it? If they spread it, right? If they add food compost waste to it, if they make it into, I teach worm composting. So when I'm not traveling here, I'm traveling with about 400 worms through the school year, bring them up. So yeah, with the worm, it begins with a V. Just call it composting. Worm composting, proper disposal of food products. Not talking meat products. We're not talking dairy products. We're talking about fruits and vegetables primarily. Eggs, eggshells, coffee grounds. I don't know if you guys like to drink coffee. Absolutely. So. Where's this guy? Okay, and you ended up here. Well, make sure. What's this place called? Fort, right? I keep on getting asked by, do you remember, what's the woman's name who runs the Fort Harmer? She keeps on wanting me to come up and take pictures, but I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed to go up that way. And I try not to go where I'm not allowed, because as I get closer to the Ohio River, I enter the airspace of the Mid-Ohio Valley Airport. And I have to stay, I thought it was 6 nautical miles, but I looked it up. I have to stay 4.4 nautical miles in a radius from the Williamstown Mid-Ohio Valley Airport. So that's why when I get closer, I'm just making an excuse right now because the next picture is blurry. And this is the reason the next picture is blurry, because I am not allowed in that territory. But I love to fly. I love to fly that way because look how gorgeous this is. Is that cool? Look about the same setting. Let me hold up that other picture. Let's go back to this. You guys should be able to identify the Muskingum and the confluence of the Muskingum and Ohio, right? Yeah, I love it, actually. One of my goals was to fly underneath the bridge, but I'm not going to do that because I have a wife that cares about me, and she says I'm not allowed to do that, okay? But I always wanted to see it back then. I just try to picture like the way things have changed. And it's amazing, from tools to the way we live. It just boggles my mind. We're going to talk about one thing in a minute. We're going to talk about this because this is my mystery box, okay? What I got inside, I'm going to need a volunteer to stick their hand in. Fill an object. It won't bite. It won't stab. I won't say it won't electrocute. Okay. Okay. It won't electrocute much, okay? But we'll see if we have any volunteers. So the goal with this is to talk about what is modern and what is not, okay? Anybody have any volunteers? I'm going to take one thing out first because it's obvious, okay? We're going to take this out. You guys know what that is? That's a good... Wondering why there's a harmonica at the top? Because Marietta Elementary School has the PAC system where they have a harmonica to get attention of teachers. Every time I substitute there, because I still substitute there, this is part of my recycled item, but there are teachers like, and I come in as a substitute, and I'm trying to get teachers' attention. I got a plugged hole. And do like things like see if you know this one. You know, just things. But I get people's attention. But you know, I thought I'd keep it up here for guys because what it makes is an awesome little sign stand, right? So I can put stuff up there and walk around. Or like I said, I can generally walk around right there. Okay, so modern trash. Okay, what are some examples? A myriad, a plentiful, a bunch of what we have at our disposal today, and I stress the word disposal because a lot of it is not recyclable, versus what leader, because it's just not breaking down. But I always get that out because that's not a lot of fun either, right? Any volunteers? Modern versus old-timey. Come on up.
One thing
Stick your hand in, no peeking, grab, make your guess.
This is old-timey.
This is old-timey. Ah, perfect. It is. It's a candle, right?
Oh, no, I think it's a corn cob for the basket.
No. I lit it. It is actually a candle, right? I've got the other half in here, right? So, my old-timey light source, right? Fire starters, right? Doesn't put out a lot of light, right? Is it? It's a silly question, but does it degrade? Is it permanent? Right? Yeah, it wears down, right? Exactly. But you know what? Wicks wear out, right? So they're going to have to replenish the wick. They're going to have to, when it solidifies, they're going to have to re-wick it, right? So I think that's kind of cool. Next, old-timey. Anybody else? Come on up. I love volunteers. Grab anything. Hopefully it fits with the hole because not everything will. Help me guess. Don't pick yet. Don't peek yet. What is it? Make your guess.
Is it a ball?
It is.
Connected to a string or cord.
Uh-huh.
Don't look. Everybody else can look.
It's named after an animal, right? It's a type of knot that's named after an animal, right? An animal that's not native to Southeast Ohio anyway, right? It's called a monkey fist, right? Monkey fist? Never heard of it? It's an easy knot to tie. Thank you very much. Anyway, getting back to it. So old-timey, something that the pioneers might have had access to, or modern. What do you think? And I'm not using it as a weapon. I'm not knocking anybody over the head with it, right? Monkey fist. Yeah, absolutely. So they could take a rock. This has a metal ball bearing because I tied it myself. I know it's metal inside, okay? But you could use any kind of weighted source, and you could toss a line. If you needed to ferry a line from the boat to the shore, right? You could make a monkey fist. And I'm tempted to throw it, but I'm not going to throw it. The cord is a modern cord. It's paracord, right? Yeah, they would use like a natural rope. Yes, they would braid a natural rope. I like using paracord because it's easy, right? I can tie my shoes with it. My shoes wear out, right? But yeah, if you needed a ferry line, I'm not going to throw it. Like I said, gotta resist. All right, I want two more. Okay, so right now we have our old-timey things, right? Anything else? Any other volunteers? The ladies are being brave. Let's get some guys up here. Anybody else? Come on up. Make your guess. Build in my spare time. I make cigar box guitars. Right? You guys don't know what cigars are, right? So I use bottlenecks for slides, right? Make perfect slides. You go to the trees, which I know I'm not going to make it over. I've got the Bible College right here, which if I land on top of the chapel, if I hit their church, they're not going to be very happy with me, right? I've got power lines right here, and I've got the Muskingum right here. Number one cause of death used to be drowning in power paragliding because you land in the river and your lines get torn over your head and you can't escape. Well, that's been replaced in modern days by people doing stupid stuff, okay? Low level acrobatics, right? But I was headed toward those trees, so I grabbed my lines and I pulled my glider, which made me dive to the ground. I tried to run it out. I couldn't run it out. I broke my props. So my next product for kids especially is I'm making a cigar box guitar using the neck of a broken propeller. So that's good. It's carbon fiber. So I'm big into reuse. I talked about my wife having surgery, right? She has hardware in her back. I'm like, well, you're probably not getting it out. I broke my femur when I was younger. I got the hardware out of that. It's titanium. I made a wind chime out of it. And then when I went to OU and I met my future wife, okay, she didn't like it so much. She's like, got to get rid of it. But I still have it around, and I do carry it around when I teach programs. A little wind chime made out of surgical plates and a bunch of screws. So yeah, I told you it gets kind of weird. I get kind of weird, right? All right. This is modern. I'm glad you asked. It is new because, much to my lament, you probably know that I'm a big time scavenger, right? On the border of being a hoarder, right? I would not say I'm not, right? Okay, but when the local recycling center closed, okay, I got so many bottles from the recycling center. I would go there and I'm like, you recognize me, right? You got anybody know who started the recycling center in what year? What? It wasn't Putnam? Yes. Yeah. But no, I'm talking. Okay, let's go with the modern then. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Great. Right. And unfortunately, it closed. I'm hoping that they get another local recycling center because selfishly, I get a lot of free teaching products out of it. But yeah, so that's where this came from, right? Let's do one more, then we're going to move on, right? Can I have one more? Again, modern, old-timey, right? Going to keep those. Come on up. Come on up. Be brave. Now, what I didn't show you, I have things that might resemble snakes in here, and I have a Bluetooth speaker that has a rattlesnake sound.
It feels organic, but it might be plastic. It has irregular. It's shaped like a big dried up strawberry.
Shaped like a what?
A big dried up strawberry.
A big dried. And what material do you think it's made out of?
I mean, if it's not a dried up, it might be like a dried up orange or apple. Okay. Which also feels a little plasticky, but I'm thinking it's organic.
Okay, let's see if you can fish it from the hole.
I won't go. Close enough.
Okay, what is it? Aluminum foil. It's not tin. I usually have a magnet with me. We can test it. Recyclable or trash? Kind of trick question because if it's clean recyclable, it is clean. Based on the recycling, the materials collection where it goes to, it should be about the size of is that a strawberry? I'm thinking more like a
really big strawberry.
Yeah, I'm thinking like a little.
Say a dried apple.
Might be a little small. So they say if it's about a safe size. Again, if it's clean, it's about the size of a lemon or a lime. Okay, just so when they go through the conveyor belt systems, things get passed by the magnets. Obviously, aluminum is not magnetic. It's going to continue up the conveyor belt. If it's that size, hopefully it will not fall through and jam up the system.
So they like it all wadded up.
Yeah. Well, again, depending on where it goes to, okay? I know it depends on where the material collection is. I wad it up. I make sure it's clean, right? While we're on the subject, pizza boxes, recyclable or trash? Another trick question, right? That's why the tops are separatable, people. Yeah, they try to put their little liner on and keep all the grease and cheese. Doesn't always work, right? But yeah, just rip that top off. put it in recycling. And if it's a very, very rainy day, you know what? Maybe put your cardboard out last, okay, so it stays dry. Try to shelter it, right? Because you don't, again, when we had the luxury of going to our local recycling center, we could just dump it right in the trailer, right? Take it from the trunk to the trailer. So that was kind of cool. So anything in here we didn't talk about? Let me take a quick peek. Make sure we got all the goodies. I can do a reveal here, right? Let's see. There it is. There's a CO2 cylinder, right? Right. It's empty. It is not recyclable, right? A lot of compressed things are not recyclable, okay? It's used in like paintball guns and things like that. You know, kids use them. That's what I kind of refer them to, like paintball guns. What else would you guess CO2? What do you think? What else do they use it for? Pellet guns. That paintball guns, pellet guns. That was my initial thought, right? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. That's good. I'm surprised. I'm kind of glad they don't, because my new favorite thing is my little compressed air thing, right? That blasts, right? I forget the model I got on Amazon. Use it all the time. But if they use these in other compressed air systems, it would just be eventually another form of waste, because there's no way to self-service or fill these up. So obviously, our early local residents did not have that. They had. Let's see. Well, they had that. They had something like that. You didn't grab that. Didn't grab golf balls, right? Nobody grabbed the golf ball. I keep a golf ball in because, again, back to flying. This is a funny story, obviously. Golf balls, on the way to Beverly, there's a big golf place. They won't let me fly there, and I respect that, but I can take off from the water department land right on the other side, right? So I'm always like looking for cool things. Somebody mentioned, she did, about the next presenter being in rowing. I would love to go that, because interesting sights, seeing the rowing team along the river. As an aside, this has nothing to do with recycling, but I have a friend that drops. I'm not as much of a jerk as he is, because here's why he's a jerk. He drops marshmallows on golf courses. Isn't that a jerk thing to do, right? I wouldn't do that, right? No, you wouldn't. Okay. What'd you say? Yeah, I imagine that they do, right? Okay, so we're gonna put this away. I have we have plastic buckets. Obviously, our early settlers didn't have plastic buckets. One of my programs for second graders, I put a bucket over their head, and I put a deer mask on them, and I put antlers on, and I start throwing like the plastic things on there. A big belief of mine in terms of recycling, and how I really got back into it, because you know what, just trash is not very exciting unless you make it exciting, right? My wife's the veterinarian. We obviously care about animals, and I care about animals. I used to volunteer in wildlife rehab. So the wildlife conservation and protection, and the humaneness of making sure that trash is not disposed of in a way that it can be a foreign body to animals, okay? So if you hear me talk about animals a lot, that's what I like to talk about, right? All right. Back to this. Let's go. We talked about that. We haven't talked about that. Pioneer Settlers building. This is actually on the Yauk, okay? Anybody know where the Youghiogheny River is? This is not the Muskingum River, right? Do you paddle?
No, but I worked over in that area for 37 years.
This is actually on the Youghiogheny River where they're building their boats, right? Can you guys see that? It's western Pennsylvania, right? Youghiogheny, yeah. They're actually, when I went to OU, I was a whitewater kayak paddler, and the only place you can end up in danger on the Youghiogheny River is on a big undercut rock. You're paddling, you miss your roll, and you have to wet exit, and the front of your boat, the bow of your boat, hits the rock, the way the current works, it digs out a channel underneath the rock. So it's an undercut rock. And if you eject from your boat upstream, they called it Turtle Rock. There was some talk about bombing it, getting rid of it, because I guess the only people that have died at Turtle Rock on the Youghiogheny. So yeah, so actually it's kind of interesting. But yeah, this is it. Construction. What are some tools that they had at their disposal that they had to pack carefully when they got off and arrived to continue maintaining their boats? Because again, horseback, right, form of transportation, boat travel still remains a big form of transportation. How did they make them? What were their tools? Absolutely. Yep. Axes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to say, isn't it? Yeah, axes, right? Yeah. They did, right? Mm-hmm. Two-person saws, right? Yeah. Huge, right? Absolutely. Absolutely, right? Absolutely. So they had to have yeah, draw knife. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, right? I actually, all last month, while my wife was in the hospital and I got away and got to thrift stores, I was looking for old antique items to bring to this presentation. And I found several, and I came home and I dated them, and they were all about from the early 1900s on. So I don't have anything exciting. I have a scythe, right? It looks rusty, but again, it's still considered modern. But again, I'm surprised, again, people hang on to them, right? I mean, if you have an actual artifact from the period, right? I mean, you wanted to keep your tools in good shape, right? You wanted to maintain your tools, keep them in good shape? Absolutely. So you don't see a lot of old, rusted tools of that time. But sure, from the early 1900s, late 1800s, yeah, you see a bunch. And that's what I got. And it wasn't very exciting, okay? But see if you recognize this next one. Let's see, where to go? Is it this one? I want to see if you can identify some of the building techniques of this. You'll probably recognize it. Are you guys all from, anybody from out of town? Are you guys all from Marietta? Where are you from? Okay, Morgan County. Awesome. Where's this? Absolutely. This was my Monday flight, right, when I flew over. Yep. They're making great progress. The executive director here, I must have sent her probably 20 photos. Yeah, so actually, they actually made some good. You guys seen some earlier photos? They're making good progress, right? Yep. There's the flip side. A little closer. Make sure I'm holding it right. Yeah, it goes that way, right? Yeah. But can you imagine processing again? If you're using hand tools, could you imagine processing all that lumber over a period of time? How much effort that would take? No wonder, what? We have bad bags. I have a bad back as well. But goes back to this. Okay, next one. Oh, this is my favorite one. Hildreth. Who was Hildreth? Doctor. Was he the first doctor? He was really the first doctor to establish a relationship. I forget the other guy that came in a couple years earlier, right? Yeah. How do you say it? Yes, absolutely. I'm trying to remember his last name, but yeah. So Hildreth, traveling from Belpre to an emergency medical situation in Marietta, about an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? Unfortunately, you wouldn't want to be in that situation. But, people had injuries. I was trying to find documented cases of medical reports that were from the time period. And I didn't find any. I don't know if people didn't complain about it so much or what, but there had to be. What was the big event? What drove the medical stories from this time period? You guys know? It wasn't accidents. It wasn't injuries. Disease, right? Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So that got a lot of attention, right? Well, Hildreth was good at his job, right? He saved a bunch of people. How many deaths? I don't remember the number, but there were a few deaths from the epidemic that went through, right? He did a great job. So out of how many? Yeah. But wasn't there like
And it was a
four?
impact that they don't know what it was, but it came through. It was
Yeah.
a sickly
But wasn't there like 400? I'm trying to remember. 400 cases? Does it sound about right? Yeah, and like 22 deaths. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, today we have Marietta Memorial. Right. I spent a lot of time there. My wife just recently spent a lot of time there. Right. So we have access to healthcare. Right. That's a good thing. Right. All right. Next box of goodies. We're going here. We're going here. I got to make room. Make room. I haven't even dug into that yet. Got my cigar Rubber slides. I'm making sure that's not going to get broken. Who watches? Does anybody watch reality TV, specifically like Survivor? Oh, good for you. Naked and Afraid. No, I've watched Naked and Afraid. I've got to admit, right? It just kind of boggles my mind how we get to where we're going in terms of even something when we talk about fire making, right? How did well, let's go back. Before we settled, before Europeans settled, before the non-Native Americans settled, how did they start fires? Before the settlers. Bow drills, right? Bomb. Spindle, right? Now, when I was teaching environmental education in the foothills of Los Angeles, there was a Native American tribe there called the Chumash. They're one of the earliest peoples. I found this in the LA foothills, and it looked like a perfect cylindrical hole. It became my bow drill. So I don't know. I can't say specifically that it was originally from a bow drill, but I use it as one, right? Well, what do they use? So we've got the block of wood that we need to test because, you know, the success rate is not always so great, right? You got to find the right combination of wood, right? That is, whether it's hard, whether it's soft, they've got to kind of match up. So it's a little bit of trial and error, okay? So in the hand, right? Spindle. This is a harder wood than this. Or no, I take that back. This is a harder wood than this. This is a little softer, okay? All right, hold it right. What else am I forgetting? Needs, absolutely, right? Because once I see it start smoldering, I'm going to dump it into something that's going to start, hopefully ignite, right? But we're not talking about that thing, right? One of my big things is reusing things. We talked about paramotor stuff, right? Bicycle rims, aluminum bicycle rims. I must have probably 50 of these. I use them for all things. I make disc golf baskets out of them. They make great handrails, right? So you've got your spindle. You don't have a way to clamp it down, right? You give it a twist. Yeah, like that, right? Yep, like that. That goes in the hand like that. Oh, I flipped it upside down. There we go. Right? Right? Where it works, right? I thought it was going to slide all the way on the desk, but back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? So obviously, when the early settlers came in, somebody's already mentioned what they used. What did they use? Flints, right? Fortunately, in the area, we have lots of examples of flints. All you got to do is go for a hike, and you can find it, right? They needed some kind of striker, right? They had the strikers that they had. They were of like a high iron content. They kind of wrapped. It looked like the reverse of a brass knuckle, right? It had a bar here that they would strike with. But again, if you're using flint and steel, you still need a tinder box, right? You still need tinder, right? So I kind of got a traveling tinder box. I'm told I'm not allowed to set museums on fire, so I'm not actually striking things in there. But let's go down history lane real quick. So we got our bow drill. We've got our flint, right? Modern flint and steel. These things aren't half bad, all right? Magnesium fire starters, you guys know what that are, right? They're pretty effective, right? Shows, that's why I mentioned it. Shows like Survivor, are very popular. It gets people thinking. And with that, new products are made that are crap and often disposable, right? Some things work better than others. A couple things do not work whatsoever. This one's not so bad, right? Flips out, just like that, right? So it does not have the magnesium, but it has the flint. Still need a striker, knife with content. Then we get to, let's see. Did I leave it? Oh, this one. Oh, it's still in the box. Modern survival craze. Safety whistles, right? Broken, right? Because they're crap. They're not very good. But it has a little tiny flint. You can see a little flint right there? Not so good, right? Disposable. Not worth risking, or not worth depending on your life on, right? Something that you don't really want to rely on. I usually have one of these things, so we're going a little modern here. Let's go a little more modern next. We've got next fire making that we have access to. Hopefully you're keeping them dry, or what matches, right? Easy enough. Almost there, almost to modern times, right? What's next? Matches. Couple different kinds of lighters, right? Next one is, let's go this one. Oh, nope, let's go this one. Still using lighter fluid, right? Making the move to the next one is a disposable gas that is compressed. Butane lighters, right? Good. Next one is what? We can go a little more modern.
Sorry, my brain just stuck on a magnifying glass.
You're going back a little ways, right? You don't watch Survivor? You don't watch the Survivor series? Yeah. Yeah. Have you actually had success? I would love to be able to have success. I haven't, right?
Just burning holes with magnifying glasses.
Anybody want shocked, right? That's why I don't keep this in the box, right? Because people will stick their hand out, right? Yeah, like little electric nighters, right? Anything else? Not so good at actually maybe starting a grill that has a more reliable fuel source, like, right? But can I go one more step further? Yeah, one of these funky things. I don't know how I feel about these. They're like, I still kind of think they're kind of disposable, but they do work for, like, especially if you're having a compressed gas or something. I wouldn't want to, like, try to light newspaper with it, right? Wouldn't be very, very good, right? Anything else in my box? I think that's it. We've got, I got my other half of the candle. See, I told you that was a candle, right? You thought that was, all right. Last thing, and then make sure we cover everything. We already talked about that. Talked about that. Oh, that's gone. Oh, here's that picture. That's like the old-timey flint and steel. That's, see the striker on that one. You guys see that? It's a little different. It's again you want something with a high iron content, something that's going to strike, something that's going to be good, right? So, see that? You got that? I wasn't very good at fire starting. I was in scouts. Anybody? You said you're in scouts? Yeah, I wasn't. I didn't get a merit badge, and I just wasn't very good at about it. I'm sorry. I should have held this up, right? Again, there are some of the tools that we mentioned. I forgot my slide. I forgot my image, right? Working on it, right? And let's see. Anything else? Make sure I got that. And again, one of the reasons that I actually got involved with the solid waste management district that I work for is because, again, I want to make sure that we're looking at clean rivers, right? Making sure our rivers are clean. It's very important, I think, especially for the younger generation, to know where their trash comes, to know where it ends up. We talk about recycling centers, we talk about trash, we talk about landfills. Again, they're excited about worms and composting, but does it leave a lasting impact? I would hope so, right? But just to keep things clean, environment, protecting our resources, big component. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you. I was thinking, so vermiculture, right? I knew it was a V. I was trying to get a word out, right? Vermiculture, right? What I need to do is I need to, yes.
I mean, Marietta, no, in districts, where did the settlers make their dump?
So the 20,
I work a very little bit, and almost nothing, I work a little bit with West here, and I know that some properties, you put your own waste, your own trash, on the property, but was there
well,
a location of ports where there were?
well, after a period of time when families bonded, okay, when families came together and began to look outside of the scope of an inclusive family into a neighborhood, there was some collaboration on dumps, on like, I don't want to say village dumps, but on multiple household dumps kind of became a thing, right? But again, if you're just a single family and you got a small little parcel of land that you call your own, you're making the most out of use for it. Once you get into that whole neighborhood concept, you can work with families and actually establish a neighborhood dump, right? Or actually, yeah.
I read one time, hear that Tigerway, where Tigerway is, there's that goose run through the bed, and that people would dump trash in there, and people that lived in the town, and then that man came and anyway, that built that building, which is still the Tigerway hotel and that. And but anyway, he cleaned that up, but it was just people were bringing their waste there, and all kinds of waste, and it was just filthy. But if they didn't think anything could be done, but he said he could clean it up, and he did. And he built the hotel right there and lived in the upper level.
Yeah, and I think especially for the younger generation, I think it's important for them to acknowledge that. I think it's also extremely important that we don't do doom and gloom or fear-based like initiatives to get children, like a blame game. I think there is still a way to convey a positive component on if things aren't recyclable, because you know what, we're not going to be able to make everything recyclable as much as we want to. We're still going to have trash. We're still going to have disposal systems. But then the question remains is, what do you do with it? How do you monitor it? How do you cap it? How do you close the landfill? And again, looking for generations to come, what are the impacts of a landfill that has been closed? Again, liners do wear out. You know, they are engineered systems, but liners still wear out. Fires still happen, right? Things get thrown away that they shouldn't get thrown away with. I heard a story that in the one near Cincinnati, the big, huge Mount, there's a nickname for it, Mount Rumpke, thank you. They found there was an elephant buried there in its entirety. Have you heard that story? No, I'm not making that up. I promise. Supposedly. Is it true? What year was that? Was it actually uncovered? Was it actually?
I don't remember the detail, but
yeah, I wasn't sure. I heard that, and I didn't want to say that it was valid truth. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you could back me up with that. So, again, going back to schools, I think it's important that schools have recycling systems. Marietta's okay with their school recycling. Warren is actually pretty good. Fort Fry is actually getting pretty good on their school recycling systems. But it's fun. It's easy to teach recycling because it's straightforward. You know what's recyclable, what's not. Where does it go? Where it's picked up? How is it processed? And what does it become? Okay. Then you talk about reuse, and I love reuse. Okay, obviously, we had a big high school recycled art contest for high school students. It was my first year in the fall, and I was expecting maybe I would get a couple schools to participate and get a handful of. It was called reimagined art. These kids brought these amazing pieces. So instead of just about 5 pieces of art, example, we had 70 pieces of recycled art. The big ones were Fort Fry, Warren, Belpre, and Marietta. Frontier did not participate, and Waterford did not participate, although I got on them as much as I could. But they brought these things, and the top prize was $250. The kids got acknowledged, held some value to it. And when the winner was a quiet high school student, a boy, young man from Marietta, he was just beaming because the amount of work that he put into this. So I'm hoping that my organization will fund it for the next year as well, because I deemed it a success, because the kids got to see what can they make out of recycled art. How can they reclaim these materials? How can they divert them from the landfill and reuse them in a artistic way? Because when we think about environmental science and we think about recycling, we think about chemistry, we think about biology. Obviously, we think about the environmental science electives, but where the non-science, the students that may not have the strongest science strengths, they often get behind. So I wanted to get the art students on board, right? It's easy to get the FFA and those on board, right? They're already doing good work anyway. Next one, I think, and this is going to be for the literature kids. I want to do an environmental stewardship program on environmental authors and have a writing contest across the county. Southeast Ohio Solid Waste Management District, but I work for GT Environmental, so I work for basically both of them, GT Environmental in Columbus, right? And then they work on behalf of the Southeast Ohio. So I do. I have a coworker. She does Gallia, Athens, Meigs, and I do Morgan, Monroe, Washington. I said Marietta. Where am I at? Noble. Okay, so I'm 4. Guernsey and Muskingum. So I do those 6 counties. And I have to do, it's part-time. It's supposed to be part-time. But I have to do 200 programs a year. That's my quota. So I do 200 programs. One of the big things I'm doing is getting more upper-level courses like science or high school programs and middle school programs. It's not like I don't like the little preschool kids, but environmental education is a hard concept to get them to get on board with, other than looking at cool worms, which I'm down for that as well. So I appreciate it, guys. I really appreciate you letting me try this first program out on you guys, right? I like getting into the museums, right? I'm happy to be back at Campus Martius, right? I'm looking for more opportunities to volunteer. So anybody else got any other questions? Yeah.
In our area, go.
Okay, so there's in Athens, there's a like a materials collection, right? In Athens, so I guess it depends on. Do you live in Marietta? So when they get picked up and they're taken to the materials collection, I believe that one is in Athens or outside of Athens. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they're recyclable. So, but again, if it's something you can reuse it, right? Live like the settlers. Live like our early ancestors. Make as much of the materials as you can and reuse them. It's cool. It's fun. It's exciting. So thanks, guys. I appreciate it.